Hey guys, Solomon here. Hope you're having a great day. I thought I'd start this video off by actually giving an apology. Okay, now, in one of my recent videos, actually my 35th Hippo video, I said, look, here's the deal. I've made 35 Hippo videos up to this point. I made a 6-hour course. This is going to be it, right, for Hippo content, at least for a very long time. Well, today, I'm making another Hippo video. Right, so apologies for that. I just can't stop making videos about it. Such a great system. Absolutely in love with the ideas. And I actually played it in a recent tournament of mine. Okay, and that's really what we're going to be covering today. One of my games, it was far from perfect. I think I ended up with 78% in terms of accuracy. He ended up finishing with 70% in accuracy. But I think it's going to be helpful for you Hippo players because, my opponent here, Gordon, strong up-and-coming player in California, really played nearly perfect against the Hippo in the opening and really put the pressure on me. And I also think that this is going to be helpful for you guys that don't play the Hippo, right? Because this is really a game that comes down to defensive chess. At times I played great defensive chess. At other times I definitely didn't, right? So we're going to be taking it move by move. Hopefully you guys that play the Hippo will learn some things, as well as you guys, who don't play the Hippo but just want to improve your defensive chess, right? So in this past tournament, I played nothing but the Hippo all 5 games. I ended up getting 3 wins and 2 draws with it, so I ended up tying for second place. This was played in round 4. Both Gordon and I at this point with 2.5 points apiece, and I was playing as black. So let's just jump into it here. Here he plays the move of e4, right? Starting off with e4, d4, very common, knight c3. And bishop e3. Okay, now I think that this is a very good move here for white. Bishop e3. Oftentimes what you see, even at my level, right? Most of the tournaments I'm playing, and I'm usually playing guys, 1900 to 2300 level, somewhere in there. Sometimes I play someone lower or higher. Like I did play a 2600 GM recently as well. But all that being said, usually it's, 1900, 2300. Even at my level, I don't see moves like this a lot, right? Usually what I see is a very quick knight f3 and knight c3, right? Very common. But the problem with playing knight c3 and knight f3 so fast is that you're kind of limiting your c and your f pawns. What I would recommend is moving one of the knights if you're white, but not both. And that's exactly what he does here. By not playing knight f3, by not committing to it quite yet in the game, he is leaving f4 open in the future, and this is going to pay off. Right? I continue as black, right? Just continuing with my usual Hippo. e6, h6. Notice, guys, I want to play knight e7, but if I do it now, I run into bishop h6. Which is not a lot of fun. Okay, so I got to play h6 myself to prevent that. And now against h4, I play knight e7, right? Just continuing to develop. Obviously, as you can see, bishop h6 is no longer possible because both my bishop and the rook defend that square. Here we have the move of castling queenside, and I continue with a6, right? Looking to potentially play b5, gaining some space on the queen side, which could actually be very beneficial for me as this king is on the queen side as well. If you've watched my Hippo videos, you know that I'm a big fan of a6, b5, and really this idea of tucking a knight on b6. But look, if there's a king on c1, all the better, right? Here white continues with the move of h5 though, right? So h5 is played. I respond with g5 myself, and now we have bishop c4. I'm a little bit back and forth about this move. I don't know if this is really the best option for white. I feel like b5 gives me some tempo, and I'm not sure this bishop is, the best piece. Although, at the same time, where were you going to put it, right? We're going to put on e2, d3. None of the squares look super active. b3 is a very solid square. My only worry about this is that later on in the game, black may be able to trap that bishop, or at least trade off for it. So, all that being said, I continue with bishop b7. We have d5, and I lock it up with e5. Now, usually this kind of position is a dream position for the Hippo player, right? A locked up center. We're looking at moves like f5 in the future, all that kind of stuff. But there's 2 key differences here, right? White played this very well. First off, there's a pawn on h5. Usually there's not a pawn on h5 in positions like this, right? So with having a pawn there, this whole idea of knight g6, knight f4 is simply prevented. We can't even move this knight towards the king side, right? I guess we could go to g8, but who on earth wants to do that? Not me, right? So, okay. That's one thing, that there's this pawn on h5, which is, relatively annoying in this position. The second thing is that, again, there's no knight on f3, right? White's been waiting on this move, and it pays off here as white plays g3 and f4, breaking the game open, right? So if you're trying to find a response against the Hippo, the way that Gordon played this was very solid, right? He started out that game with bishop e3, kind of a 150 attack type idea. And, he just continued developing. And, we have a lot of highlighted moves here. But he basically just kept his knight on g1 and really lured my pawn out to g5 and found the right time to strike. right? I knew right when this was played that I was going to be on my heels for the rest of this game. This is a big game, round 4. If you win this game, you're in contention to win the whole thing, or at least, finish in the top 5. If you lose this, you're in some trouble, right? So, you're basically out of contention. So this is a big game, and pretty long time control as well. You had 80 minutes each side. You had sudden death 30 as well. You had delay. Once you make 40 moves, you get an extra 30 minutes. A lot of different things in this kind of tournament that were on the clock, but all that to say, a long game. And this game lasted a very long time, and a lot of thought went into each move from both sides. I will say, though, one of the biggest advantages of playing the Hippo is that you get an advantage in time almost every single game, right? I can't tell you how many games I've been up 30, 40, 50 minutes simply because I'm playing the Hippo, right? And they're trying to figure out what to do against it, whereas I'm very comfortable and I make my moves quickly, right? The first 10 moves, very fast most of the time, right? And then after that, okay, we got to think a little bit, but by that time, usually they've wasted half or even more of their clock, which is a huge edge, especially when things get more complicated. All that to say, I love the Hippo, so I'm trying to give you that sales pitch there, but okay, F4. At this point, we really don't have a choice, right? We could play F6. In fact, I think Stockfish actually, thinks that's a decent move. I thought about F6 here, but it just looked ugly, right? And in the opening, you're not supposed to play F6, right? If you watch Men Find Gold, never play F6. F6, it weakens squares like, E6 and G6 for the rest of the game. And it's just an ugly position, right? It's just absolutely ugly. If I play F6, my bishop might as well just turn into a pawn. And, I didn't want to go for that. So I ended up taking on F4, right? Taking on F4 a second time, and then playing knight C5, right? So this is the best move according to the engine. My idea here is not really so much to threaten anything, but I am trapping this bishop, right? So again, this bishop, maybe not the best spot just because it can get trapped so easily. For the rest of the game, I can just take this piece out whenever I want. At the same time, I am putting pressure on E4. Now notice here, after the move of knight F3, which he plays, bishop takes C3, doesn't win a pawn, right? Well, I guess you could say it wins a pawn, but not for very long, because white here is just going to take out my rook with a check. And, now they're just up a rook for a pawn. They can end up trading. They could end up just kind of keeping material on the board and continuing to attack my king. In either case, I'm just down a rook, right? This is not good. So all that to say, this knight C5 move really wasn't threatening to win this pawn, but it does put pressure on it, right? And even if you aren't threatening, adding some pressure is always good, right? One of the biggest mistakes I see beginners make is thinking, gosh, I need to make a threat. I need to make a threat. The top players, they're not worried about making a threat. They're worried about continuing to improve their pieces and add the pressure. And eventually, something will show up, right? That's just how chess works. If you keep improving your position, you keep putting on pressure and pressure and pressure, eventually a tactic will unleash, right? So, okay, all that to say, knight F3. I think another thing about this move that was good is that I could play queen d7. I understood here, my king, just a couple moves before, my king is not in a very good spot, right? These rooks are going to come pretty quick, right, on the G and the F files, right? I got to be, very vigilant, very, very, very diligent in getting my king to safety, right? So that's why here I play knight c5, a very quick queen d7, and okay, here I play the move of rook h7. This is actually a little bit of an inaccuracy, right? So as I said, this game is far from perfect, right? You're going to see much worse mistakes from myself later on in this game. And it's not like rook h7 is a terrible move. It's the second best move according to Stockfish, and it's not like the evaluation dropped a ton. But I will say, I was thinking about this move of bishop captures on c3, right? I was thinking about it, but then after looking at queen takes, I'm going, gosh, what now, right? If I play rook over to g8, I'm just losing my pawn, right? That's not good. Same with rook f8, right? That's not good at all because the bishop's going to take with tempo against my rook there. And here, if I play a move like rook h7, that rook can't even move. It just felt awkward. Why would I trade down and give white the diagonal when I previously owned it? But what I missed here is that I could just castle queenside, right? I just somehow missed that. I could just castle queenside and okay, this game is almost even in the evaluation, right? So that's something to think about, right? If you're, if the position's getting blown open in the game and they're attacking your rook and all that kind of stuff, think to yourself, okay, can I, maybe I don't have to run away with the rook. Maybe I can just castle and connect the rooks, right? One of my old coaches, FIDE master Eric Schiller, was big on connecting the rooks very quickly. And the reason for that shows, right? Because h8 is protected, by this rook on d8, and they're just doing a great job of defending one another. All that to say, after rook hg1, I ended up, not seeing that idea of just taking on c3 and then castling queenside. I ended up instead going with rook h7 and then castling queenside, right? We see a3. This move may be a little bit slow. I thought white could have played it a little bit more aggressively there. But here in this position, I ended up going with the move f5, right? And, when I played this, I was thinking to myself, gosh, this could be a very good move, or it could just be a huge mistake. It's a good move in the sense that it puts a ton of pressure on e4, right? Both by the pawn and by the knight. The bad thing about it is that it actually just weakens e6 a ton, right? And white can just throw their knight right in there, which is exactly what happens in the game, right? So I see knight e6. Honestly, besides that move, I was very happy with this position. If white didn't play knight e6, I have a ton of pressure on e4. And once e4 falls, d5 is also going to be weak. If you want to take on f5, my second knight is going to become more active, and, ton of pressure on d4 there. If you want to take again, my queen supports it. I'm starting to kind of unfold my position here, which is exactly what I want. However, we see the move here from Gordon of knight e6, right? I ended up taking on c3 and then taking on e4, attacking the queen. And here I play rook e8, right? So this is all, common stuff. I did realize in this position here that I could remove the defender and then take on e4 with tempo, right? It's not like I've stopped the threat of losing my rook, but now the queen is attacked as well, right? So you can take my rook, I'm going to take your queen, right? So white here plays the move of queen a5. I save my rook, and now we have c4. Okay, now here I made a big mistake. And looking back, in a weird way, I don't regret the move I played, which definitely sounds a little bit weird. But here's the deal. I was looking at a long time at this move of b takes c4, right? Just taking off that pawn. My whole idea was that against bishop takes, I could play knight takes d5, right? So notice here, I'm up 2 pawns of material now, right? On top of that, guys, I just wanted to mention real quick, it kind of goes without saying, but when you're playing defensive chess, if you can find a way to get up 1 pawn or 2 pawns, it's going to give you a huge advantage both on the board and psychologically, because your opponent now, it's not like, oh no, my attack didn't work. Well, I guess we're just going to play an endgame. No, they're down material, right? They're down material, so the pressure in a lot of ways is on them to make something happen or get that material back, and oftentimes you can stretch them to play, just kind of crazy wild chess, because they're going, look, I'm down a piece, I'm down a rook, I'm down a pawn, I gotta go for the checkmate, and they end up losing even more in the process. So here I'm going, at the very least, I'm up 2 points, right? It's not the end of the world because I'm up 2 points. If I lose a piece, okay, I'm down a point, right? That's the beauty of being up a little bit material. You can give some back, right? But here the whole idea of knight takes d5 is not so much just to take a pawn, but really to make this knight weak, right? The whole reason that knight is so strong is because the pawn defended it. Take the pawn out, and the very next move, even if they take with the bishop, right? Just take again, right? And here I had this idea of queen captures on e6, right? Not rook, but queen. Because of queen a8, I want to have this d7 square available, right? Going a couple moves back. If I end up taking with the rook there, I'm simply going to get mated, right? So I got to take with the queen. My king's got to run, and black's fine here. I think the computer has it at just about dead even after queen takes a6. But honestly, guys, at this point in the game, I was totally fine with an even evaluation, right? And honestly, I thought this was a little bit better for black. And if you do look at it, if you guys pull up Stockfish for this game, it is a slippery slope for white here, right? White really does need to play very accurately, whereas I think black's move, they come a little bit more natural. So all that to say, though, when I was looking at this move of b takes c4, I was looking at it for a very long time. I was about to play it, and then I went, wait a second, bishop a4 could be played. And notice my queen is pretty much trapped, right? I can't move anywhere without losing it, right? d8 is covered by the knight, right? I can't, distract this queen at all from defending the bishop. What I saw is that I had to play this move c6, and I couldn't find a way for white to win this position, right? I couldn't find a way for white to break through. But it just looked ugly to me, right? Look at all of these attacking pieces. There's so much going on here, so much pressure on the board in so many different ways. Queen c7 is checkmate if my queen's not here. I have a rook aimed directly at my queen. 2 active bishops. The knight on e6 is just an absolute monster, all that kind of stuff. So I went, you know what? I don't see how white can win, but it just looks ugly, so I didn't play it. Turns out there's actually no way for white to win, right? You plug into Stockfish, there's just nothing there. Right, black's doing fine. maybe there's a lesson in that, maybe to trust yourself a little bit. At the same time, again, I don't really regret it, because even though I know it's dead even, it still looks ugly, right? It doesn't look fun. So, maybe there's a lesson there to, trust yourself when you think you see something. At the same time, that position there just doesn't look like a lot of fun. And even though Stockfish says dead even, could I hold on to that? I don't know, right? It's tough. So, okay, here I play the move of knight c5, and just attacking this bishop, right? By playing that move, we're attacking the bishop. We're also attacking the knight on e6 as well. And white ends up taking that knight off the board. I simply capture back. And in my calculations, I was actually planning to play queen takes b5, but then obviously a couple moves later, early on in the game, I was, going over this variation. A couple moves later, I was going, oh wait, I have to take with the pawn, because if I take with the queen, we lose this game in one turn, right? We don't want that. So, okay, a takes b5. Here we have the move of a4, and here I play the move of c4, right? Why is b4 a mistake? It just doesn't really do much, right? It doesn't really do much. It doesn't even save a pawn, because we're just going to lose the pawn on c5. Now we're sitting at dead even material, which is not what I want, right? I really want to maintain my one pawn advantage if I can, especially if queens are still on the board, right? Because now, at the very least, white just has a great attack, and if it doesn't work out, then they're fine, right? So I at least want to have that inequality there of being up a pawn if I can. So instead I play the move of c4, kicking that bishop back, and then I take a second pawn, right? So now I'm up 2 pawns of material, right? I'm trying to take as much material as I can, because it's going to give me more leverage to give material back. All that to say, guys, I'm not saying it's a universal rule, right? Oh, someone hands you their queen, right? If Eric Rosen hands you their queen, don't take the queen, okay? If Eric Rosen gives you a queen in the opening, don't take it, please, okay? But overall, if you can get some material and not give up much for it or anything for it, take the material. It's going to give you leverage, right? A takes b5 is played. And here, I was going, gosh, my knight is pinned to my queen. And on top of that, f5 is a big weakness, right? So I went, okay, I'm going to play queen f7, get my queen out of the pin, and also defend that very weak f5 pawn. Here we have the move of rook over to f1. And I ended up playing rook h8. This is a blunder, okay? Not a good defensive move, okay? If you want to, you can take a moment here, pause the video, and try to find the best way for black to defend this position, okay? Very advanced idea, and I wish that I saw it. Assuming that you pause this video, the move here is actually just taking off the bishop, right? The reason I didn't go for this is because I was worried about, okay, gosh, my pawn on f5 is just so weak now, right? What do I do about it? If I play rook e5, the pressure just continues to add, right? There's no way to save it. I don't want to get forked at some point in the game. I don't want all this pressure to just break open and go crazy. Turns out, guys, if I play king b8, I'm fine, right? And this is a prophylactic move, right? Because in a sense, white wasn't really threatening anything at this point, right? I mean, if white takes on f5, I would check, and then I move, and then white takes my rook, I can just take their rook, right? White could take with the rook on f5, but this is prophylactic in the sense that you're getting your king to safety before there's an immediate threat, right? Obviously, that king was very uncomfortable, but one of the biggest things that I see grandmasters do in the opening is when they castle queenside, moving their king to b8, right? Or moving their king to b1, right? There's a ton of instances in this game where white should have just played king b1 because it kind of just gets rid of all my ideas, right? A move like king b8 at some point in the game may seem very slow, but it's very effective. In fact, plug this into Stockfish, king b1, the top move. Why is that? Because of a ton of tactical ideas that black can try to play in the game. As you're going to see later on, I have ideas of checking on this diagonal, all that kind of stuff. They're just never going to exist, and it takes the life out of the opponent, right? Playing a move like h3, you'll never get back rank mated, right? Play a move like king over to get out of that long diagonal. The opponent runs out of attacking chances, right? So it really does take the life out of the opponent to just play a quiet move like that. Get your king tucked a little bit and get it out of the line of fire. And okay, I mean, here if white takes with the rook, I just play queen e6, and I'm fine. Black's okay, right? Yeah, black's fine. Dead even evaluation, and we're just playing chess, right? So after this move, what I should have realized is that I could take this piece, which I want to trade. I love to trade pieces. I'm being attacked. I want to trade. On top of that, I'm up in material, which is a second reason I want to trade down. But I missed that. I could just play the quiet move of king b8, get rid of queen a7 ideas, and get rid of forking ideas as well, right? All is fine. Here instead I play the move of rook h8, and I don't know if you guys have this. gosh, it drives me crazy. I have this thing right when I drop a piece, right when I move it, I go, oh my gosh, they can play that, right? Right when I play this move, I went, oh my gosh, white here could play the move of rook takes d5. And I knew I was lost. I knew this was completely lost for black, right? There's no way out of this. First off, if I take with the queen, I get mated, right? Because this rook is no longer here, right? That's the first thing. And here, if I take with the bishop, white has bishop takes f5 with check. Again, trying to get rid of my queen, right? So I can't take the bishop, okay? Now, if I play a move here like king d8, I mean, that's just ugly. We got two bishops here, very active. Queen, b6 is going to happen, just absolutely breaking this game open. My king's not going to survive very long, or if it does, I'm going to lose a lot of material in the process. If I play a move like, king b8 or something, white can play b6. This pawn is going to be pinned to the king. And if I play king b7, sure, b6 doesn't work right away, but white can just throw in a check, right? Check, and then b6. This is what I saw, and I was just going, gosh, I mean, this game's just over, right? Again, this pawn on c7 is pinned. White's threatening a mate in 1. If I want to take this bishop, white can just, again, win the game in 1 turn, right? And here, if I play something like bishop e6, I didn't see this move, but it turns out, I mean, on top of just being able to just play bishop takes or pawn takes and win a queen, white can actually play b7. Very, very pretty move. No matter what black plays, queen a8, and this game is simply over, right? So when I played this move of rook h8, it was a little bit rushed, and part of that was because he was so down on time. But tip, guys, when you need to take your time to think about something, take your time, right? You got to think through it. So I play the rook back. He ends up not seeing it, right? I thought it was just over, but he ended up playing b6, which surprised me a little bit. I ended up taking, and then, at this point, okay, let's just capture that bishop off. So here I ended up playing the move of king c7. Now I had 2 reasons for this. The first one is that, this king kind of just gets out of the line of fire of this bishop, right? White no longer has bishop takes f5 check ideas, right? In fact, this bishop can't even directly attack the king at all because it's on a dark square. The second reason that I did this is because I wanted to play rook a8 or threaten rook a8, which actually traps this queen, right? So that was the idea behind it. It turns out that king c7 is a mistake because white has this move of rook d down to d4, right? Such a crazy move. Just looking to take on c4, hunting down my king, but it turns out that it's crushing for white, right? But white misses this. We see the move of rook captures on f5. I play queen e6, and we have the rook come over to d5, right? Now, at this point in the game, he only has a couple minutes left. He's getting low on the clock. He's got to get to move 40 to get those extra 30 minutes, and right now, he's at move 34, right? So he still has another 5-6 moves. I'm trying to complicate things as much as I can, and, I actually saw that I had a draw opportunity here, which is the Stockfish recommendation, right? So if you want to, you can pause this video and try to find the draw. I'm assuming that you did that. The move here is actually queen e3 with check, right? Followed by rook d8, right? If we see a move like rook d2 or rook d2, that's just not going to help white at all because the rook's going to be pinned and we're still able to fight for this d file, right? But now after rook d8, white kind of has to take, and if they take again, I just take back with the king, right? Very interesting position here. b6 is protected by my queen. And if something like queen b8 would check, I just block with the bishop and we're fine. And finally, if you take my piece, how is this a draw? Threefold repetition, right? Queen e1, I'm just going to go back and forth all day long. If you give up the bishop, I could just do the same exact thing, or even, go back to somewhere like d6 and actually try to fight for the win, right? So at the very least there, I don't think white would ever give up a piece. Why would they? But okay, we're going to get a draw. So I saw that. But at this point in the game, I was really wanting to fight for a win. I saw that he was down on the clock. I was trying to complicate things. I played the move of rook e7, trying to trap the queen. And it's not like this game is over necessarily after this move. I think that with the move of rook d6, white has a plus 1.7 advantage, so definitely a big advantage for white. But it's not over per se. But white misses this, and we see the move of bishop f5. Right, I play rook a8, and again, white here has a chance. They could have played the move of a rook c5 with check, right? This is such a complicated game. I mean, both sides, taking their time here, trying to figure out what to do. Very complicated game, so much going on. The idea here is that, look, if I first off, I can't even move my king, right? The only move besides taking the rook is to just block with the queen, right? And that's not good at all, right? We don't want to do that. And, because we do that, then we just lose our queen. And it seems as if, at least for a second, that, okay, well, we lost our queen, but theirs is trapped, and it is, but white has rook d6 with check, right? Forcing our king away from the defense of the pawn on b6, and white's now going to be able to take with check and just kind of slice and dice our position up. I mean, there's just no way to hang on there. We're going to simply lose, right? So rook c5 check is played. We don't want to block with the queen, and if we take the rook, the problem there is that white, yet again, takes with check. If I run away with the king, I lose my queen, right? That's not good. I don't want to lose my queen. And if I block with the queen, we lose our rook. And again, this game is just falling apart, right? So rook c5 check, very dangerous move. There's so much that could happen there. It turns out there that we should take the rook and then just play bishop c6, right? Take this rook here, play bishop c6, and just accept the fact that we're going to go into an endgame, down a queen for only a rook and a bishop, right? And just try to hang on for dear life. But again, rook c5 there is crushing. He misses it, though. He plays bishop takes e6, and I ended up, taking on a7. We have rook d7 check. We capture back. King c6 is played. And I kind of take a deep breath here, because I made it to the end game, right? This whole game, I'm on my back feet. He missed opportunities to win. I missed opportunities to simply just get a dead draw. And I found some good defensive moves too. I think we both played good moves and bad moves. But all that to say, I definitely learned a lot from this game. But at this point, I'm going, gosh, okay, I'm up a pawn in the end game. Let's see what happens, right? I play king c5. At this point, I was expecting king d2. And I think that this is the best move. White has to activate their king here. Instead, white takes on h6. I play bishop e4. I do this to kind of neutralize the light-scored bishop. I want to advance my king, but I don't want this bishop to get involved, and I also want to activate my rook on a7 as well, right? White here plays rook f6. I play king d4. Bishop f7 is played, and I now play king e3, and guys, this position is resignable. Why is this move so good for black? Because now the white king is in a mating net. There's no way for white to get out, right? The king can't go here, here, or here. And, I guess you could go there, but even if you do, rook a1 is coming, and this is simply going to be a checkmate, right? The only way to stop checkmate here is to play rook f3 and just distract my king or bishop. And at that point, white's simply losing, right? So white here plays the move of b3, trying to give their king some room. Guys, just because you see a piece to take, don't just take it right away, right? Think through your options. Rook a1, huge threat, right? Mating net. Let's keep an eye on those squares, right? Let's play c3, right? Cover b2, cover d2, cover c2. And there's simply no way here for white to stop that move. We have rook takes on b6, rook a1, and we have a ball game here, right? So at this point, I ended up going into the final game with 3.5 out of 4. Again, very imperfect game. Don't write this down as one of the best defensive games of all time. It definitely wasn't. I made a couple mistakes there, but I think there's some lessons to learn there, right? Trust yourself, and also think about just those common ideas, right? That I kind of shared about castling queenside, connecting the rooks, playing prophylactically. That's huge. If you castle queenside, if you're white or black, think about playing king b1 or king b8, right? Get that king out of the diagonal, because for the rest of the game, white will have no tactics, and it kind of takes the life out of their possibilities, right? I would also say that going up material is always helpful. It puts a lot of pressure on the opponent, right? Puts a lot of pressure on them, to find a mate or to at least even things out. And it also gives you leverage, not just to be up material, but to give material back if you need to, right? Oh gosh, I'm about to get checkmated. Well, here's a knight, right? To stop the checkmate. Well, I was up a knight, so we're all good, right? That kind of thing. So being up material never hurts, but of course you don't want to just keep taking material if your king's in huge danger. You want to play defensively. You want to prioritize king safety first and material second. And thirdly, again, if Eric Rosen offers you a queen, please don't take it, please. Okay. I'll have to say, I hope you guys that play the Hippo enjoyed this. I hope that you guys that don't play the Hippo enjoyed this as well. And if you're interested in learning more on the Hippo, I made a 6-hour course. I will leave a link to it, below. And a lot of my students and a lot of people on the channel have got it already. And I'm hoping that if you get it, you will enjoy it as well. The Hippo is a great system. There's so many benefits. I've talked about being up on time, but more than that, it's just a solid system, a sound system. And this game is honestly one of the hardest I've played in the Hippo in tournament games, right? Again, I'm playing 1900 to 2300 level usually. I mean, this is this may be the best start, one of the 2 best starts that I've seen against the Hippo in my 4 or so tournaments with it so far. So Gordon here, a very solid game. Really put the pressure on me. Hey guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the month of April in 2023. Love you guys, and it's been awesome to have you guys as part of the Patreon community. If you haven't joined the Patreon yet, there are some exclusive benefits that you gain from becoming a member. And if you're interested, I will leave a link in the description below.